thank you everyone for joining us here in this session on how to connect emotionally with your audience. And I have with me one of our yeah, she helped us immensely from last year's conference when we started base, and this year she's again helping us by sharing her knowledge and her expertise when it comes to copywriting. So, it is my pleasure to introduce Rosie Militia. She is a copywriting expert and coach. And she brings, brands and audiences closer through powerful and persuasive content. So you can definitely learn a lot about how you can connect with your audience, how you can connect with the story, and this is definitely what we are in for in this session. So without further ado, Rosie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session today. Let's see if technology is all right. To say this makes me quite nervous, but I should be able to share my screen, and I think that you guys can see it. So we are here today, as Lana said, because we are going to talk about humanizing, of course, business beyond the profit. That's the theme of this year. And when I heard from Veronica and Lana what the theme was, I really thought, okay, well, this is very much right up my alley, because what I do is all about eventually connecting with your audience and putting these people actually at the center of what you do before anything else. So that's something that I want to explore with you today, guys. And why can't I? Okay, see, again, already technical issues, because I don't seem to be able to click on the presentation. Lana, little support. What is happening? Because I think that you guys can see it, but I don't seem to be able. Yes, let's try. So sorry, guys. Me and technology don't always agree. Okay, let's try again. All right, let's see. Okay, now I can change it. However, I cannot see straight away the chat. So probably I will share on and off so I can also see you guys and see your comments. So as I was saying, today what we're going to talk about is how to connect emotionally with your audience. And before we just jump right in, I want to introduce myself quickly. Of course, Lana already told you a little bit about me. I'm a persuasive content expert and coach. And my career started actually years and years ago. Well, I'm not that old really, but years ago in marketing. And that's when I started to really explore what copywriting is and what it can actually do for your audience. So over the years, I've been very, very lucky because I got a chance to work with some amazing companies out there, amazing brands, really helping them to communicate their message, to create campaigns, and really to find also a little bit more of their voice if they didn't have it. And eventually, a few years ago, I started my own business. So what I do right now, I almost shift a little bit my attention from the very big brands to the SMEs, the entrepreneurs, all of those people that basically maybe don't have necessarily yet all the resources to go wild on what persuasive content is and copywriting, but that actually want to learn what can I do in this day and age where social media and content are such a key part of what we do. So what we're going to explore together today is, first of all, how to actually make your brand likable. And this is something that, of course, I mean, probably you heard it over and over, right? You have to have a brand, whether it's a personal one or whether it's your company just starting off, a startup, or whether you are in the process of scaling up. Everybody talks about having a clear brand. So we're going to explore together, what does that really mean in terms of your content? How can you create that by leveraging social media and your resources, the channels that you use to connect with your audience? The second thing that we're going to explore is, for me, almost the key of really humanizing your business, which is storytelling. Storytelling is something amazing. It's something that has been with us forever. And it's a great, great tool that you can use to actually scale your business even further. And then the last thing that we will be talking about today is the future. So we will explore a little bit more about the value-driven sales and positive persuasion, because I made a typo there. Look at that, the copywriter making typos. But we will be exploring together the positive persuasion, because of course, sales, copywriting, advertising, marketing, all of that has been evolving so much over the last few decades, but even more so in the last probably 5 years, there has been such a revolution about it. So I'm ready for this. I hope you guys are ready for this. As I said before, probably I will go on and off the presentation just because I want to read your comments. If you have any questions, please at any time just drop them in the chat so that then I can, answer once that I stop sharing the screen. I see it very much as a conversation after all. So why connect emotionally with your audience? I think that the answer to this is very much in what Base is trying to achieve this year, right? It's all about creating that growth, profit, but doing that while actually putting, as I said, at the center, your audience, your clients. And for me, again, of course, I talk about audience a lot, but for me, audience equals eventually your clients, right? Because that's where your clients come from. No matter where you are in your journey, no matter how big your company is, it all comes from that. And this is important because people are quite tired of the old ways. Whereas a customer years ago was probably more, let's say, chilled about all these different sales technique and not too bothered about it. In the last few years, there has been such an awakening, we could say, from an audience and client's point of view. Everybody is very aware of all these different techniques. Everybody is very aware of everybody's trying to sell to me at all times. So customers are almost asking us as businesses, can you please connect with me? Can you please get closer to me? That's what they need. That's when they will actually buy. So it's not only, something nice, like, okay, yes, I want to put my customer at the center. I want to humanize whatever I do, but it is actually a need right now. That's the main difference. And of course, as I said, the first part where this starts is almost the communication between us as companies, businesses, brands, and our audience. And this is something that I see at all levels. It doesn't matter if I work with somebody that is just starting out, just an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, if you want to call it that, or if I am working with a bigger brand or somebody that is in the scaling process of their business. Maybe they have a team, they're trying to build more and more, but I always see the same. There is that moment of, okay, I am posting online, I am out there. Somehow, though, there is not really a response to it. There doesn't seem to be that connection yet. So how do we create that? To answer that question, we have to think about almost the basics of branding. And the process, you probably heard this before, is know, like, and trust. What does that mean really in terms of what we do? The know part is about really showing up. Doesn't matter, again, if it's your personal brand or your business brand, you need to show up. The like part is about showing people, your customers, that you can be human. And then there is the third part to it, the trust. People will buy from you because they actually trust you. I'm pretty sure that everybody, let me know right in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that everybody has favorite brands that they buy from. Doesn't matter if you're buying pasta, Italian again, is all I think of, or if you're buying skincare products, you will always have your loyalty almost, right, towards a brand, a business, your favorite softwares, your favorite tools. It doesn't really matter. We all have somebody that we trust whenever we're buying. It doesn't matter if it's a service or a product. So if we translate this in terms of content, what does that really mean? It means that you need to walk that know, like, and trust as a process. And one of the things that you can actually do is try to have a variation of your content that can fit into that know, like, and trust. And in my experience, I have identified over the years 5 types of content that you actually need. And again, this applies to everybody. This applies to bigger companies. This applies to the small ones. It applies, doesn't matter if you are scaling up, doesn't matter if you are freelancers. This applies to everybody. But there are 5 types of content. And I want to go through them, and then I will go and check the chat. So again, if you got any questions, feel free to ask. I am here for you to serve you guys. See, again, humanizing beyond profit. I just want to put you guys at the center of what I'm doing today. So the first type of content is actually the value-driven or educational content. And I will go through all of them in detail in a moment. But this is really about, of course, again, showing the educational value of what you do, showing to your audience how can they use your services, what is the beauty of the products that you're selling, right? What's in it for them, what can they do with it? The second type is the thought leadership. This is more about like really sharing opinions. And again, I'm going to go through all of them very quickly now, and then I'm going to actually share a couple of examples. Then we got the vulnerable mode, the personal, the behind the scene, you know, something that shows actually that you're human. If you remember in the previous, here we were talking about the like being connected to being human. So this is actually the phase where you show that you are human because you show your vulnerability, your personality, the values that you have. Then there is the part of case studies, of course, social proof to show that, you know, you actually have a business and that there are happy customers and happy clients. And then there is the part of direct sales, so everything that is promotional. If we break them down, this is what we get. So from when it comes to value-driven educational content, what you want to do, and it doesn't matter where you do it. I mean, it can be your social media platform that you prefer. It can be all of the social media platforms out there. It can be your blog, your blog. It can be your website. It can be video. It can be written. This applies to everything. And of course, it depends on your strategy, on your overall marketing strategy, where you're going to post, right? But again, you need to alternate these 5 types of content to get to that stage of now I am actually a brand that is liked by my audience and it's about them now. It's not about you anymore. So the value-driven educational posts are all about knowledge, tips, educational bits. So think about posts that are like the list, or let's say, for example, that, and I'm going to go back to the skincare products just because I bought some this morning, to be honest, online. So that's the example that I had in my head. But think about, for example, I don't know, skin routine for your nighttime or something like that, how to do it. That could be a post that is going to educate me about how to use the products of this brand that I'm buying from in a different way that maybe I didn't think of. Or it can be knowledge in terms of, so that would be like practical knowledge, practical tips, but it could also be maybe like for example, I buy everything that is cruelty-free, vegan, chemical-free, and all of that. So it could be knowledge and educational bits in terms of where do these ingredients then come from? Why is this better than silicones on my skin? So it can be really something that is going to educate me. And this is important because this comes almost before the sale, right? You want me to understand as your customer, as your client, you want me to understand what does your software do? What does your skincare product do? What does your coaching? What does your strategy does for me? All of that. You want me to understand it before even I buy. And once that I buy, you want me to be also in charge of what I can do, of exploring the full potential of your services or your products. The thought leadership. This is really about almost taking a stand. And this is where, for me, again, that humanizing and that connection with your audience happen. Now, of course, we know what 2020 has been. It's been a little bit of a crazy year, if you ask me, of course. But we've seen so much in terms of people protesting, people standing up for things, Black Lives Matters, all of that. And this is very, very important. This is thought leadership. We have seen all sorts of brands, from the biggest ones out there to the smallest, to really make a statement or take a stand in whatever their opinions or values were as well, to say, this is what I believe, this is what I want, this is why we do not agree with this. And this is really, really important, right? So thought leadership is really about sharing opinions about things, whether it is industry-specific subjects or more, as I wrote on the presentation, news hacking. So that's really about what's going on. Again, let's think of Black Lives Matter. It doesn't really matter, which one you pick, but it's up to you to define, okay, what is the niche, the field, how am I going to express more of my opinion? And again, you can do this as a personal brand. You can do this as a bigger brand. It's completely up to where you are, but this works. And it's really, really important, because in the moment that you express your opinion, people are going to think, okay, I can relate to this person. I can actually relate to whatever they stand for, and I can stand with them. That's why this is really important. Connected to this, of course, as I said, we got the vulnerable, the personal posts. So this can be about your stories, your team, the behind the scene. And it's quite important, if you want to connect emotionally with your audience, it's really, really important that you show that behind the brand, behind the company, behind the business, behind the social media, there is actually somebody. So it doesn't matter if you got a small, tiny team, if you got a big team, you still need to show that there is a bunch of people really behind what you do. So of course that you can do it in different ways, again, depending on your business. This can be the stories of the people that work for you. It can be the stories of your clients as well, in a way that kind of falls into this as well. It can be behind the scene of what you guys are preparing, what you're working on, the process of developing a product or a service. It can be really different things, but it's all about showing, hey, we are not just somebody posting online. Why would we do that? It's not just about, hey, we're selling this, buy from us, we make money from this. No, it's about showing, hey, there are people behind this. Social proof for case studies goes very, very, speaks for itself, really. It's very obvious. It's all about the testimonials, so I'm not going to say too much about it. And then there is the direct sales, which is more about there isn't something missing there. So it's CTAs and promotional posts. So that can be anything that it's about, buy here, get this is the special offer. So anything that really will make you money, let's say. So if you think about it, and again, we think of the know, like, and trust, we can find it in these 5 types of content. They get to know you through showing, your knowledge, putting yourself out there, giving value to them. They get to know you through the thought leadership, which is the moment when they start to like you as well. Then they fully like you, because of course there is a part of, okay, there are people behind this brand. It's not just a brand on Instagram, I don't know. And there is the part of the trust that starts to happen when you share your social proof, the case studies, and again, when you share more and more stories. And the more you do that, the more it will be easy to actually go to that direct sales. Again, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and see if there are any questions, anything that you guys have coming from this. As I said, I want it to be quite interactive. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and share them with me, or if something is not clear, go ahead and share. Thank you, Lana, for moderating this. How do you plan the communication calendar? Very interesting question. So personally, what I do, I have my own method for this, let's say. So I call it a content framework. This is what I share with my clients. And basically, the theory or the idea behind it is basically that you identify the key topics or themes or categories, however you want to call it, that will actually relate the best with your audience, or with your clients, however you want to see it. So I don't know, just to give you an example, let's suppose that I got the skincare company. I would be thinking, okay, what is interesting or what is important to our audience? What are their problems? What are the solutions that they want? Based on these questions, I would identify those 3 to 5 key categories that they care about. So that can be, I don't know, preventing aging signs, or it can be, again, to not put chemical stuff. Or one of the problems that they have is that, I don't know, if I am like a low-end kind of company, that every other skincare is too expensive, whatever. I'm going to identify those key core topics that they really care about. And based on that, I start to create all of these ideas and brainstorm all of the ideas. Once that we got that, we actually go ahead and put it in a calendar of, okay, now based also on the type of context, on the 5 type of content that I've just shared with you, this is how we can now build a calendar. But it really starts with a framework. I hope it makes sense. I'm trying to, of course, crunch it up into the time that we have, but I hope it makes sense. Yara, I'm not sure how the name is. Joanna says, what do you do when you have a blackout and cannot come up with any ideas, or if you have any ideas, however, you are not able to write anything interesting?
And
You
Rosie,
just force it. Yes.
maybe you can also add in Herman's, because I see that as a continuation. Then how can you maintain also and sustain your brand?
Tell me more about it, Lana.
Well, Herman's question is, how can you maintain and sustain your brand in your business?
Yeah. Okay.
So perhaps going with the content that also Joanna has asked, if
Yes.
you don't know any interesting idea, how can you be on point and at
Yeah.
the same time maintain your brand?
Yeah. So one of the things that you can do is really about, again, like it's about identifying for yourself, what do I stand for as a brand, in connection to my clients, in connection to my customers, right? So as I said, if you identify those key categories, topics, themes, whatever you want to call them, that connects you with the audience based on their problems and the dream scenarios and the solutions, whatever it might be, that is going to basically guarantee you that you are forming your brand in a way, and that you can sustain it for a very long time, because all of a sudden your content framework is actually based on what your audience needs and not what you're feeling like that one morning that you want to post about. So it's really about create that framework, because that is going to become the guideline. Like personally, I've been using the same framework since 2017. And what I do, I just update it every year, and I go through it and I ask myself, okay, is my brand really evolved? Is my audience really different? So it's really about the creating for yourself almost that steady foundation of, this is what we stand for. These are the key topics of interest for my audience, and that's where we're going to go. Can you please still share the type of content you showed us? Yes, I will in a moment. Anyway, I will reshare the screen. Not sure if this is relevant. It says Shubna. I'm sorry, I'm really terrible with names. So sorry. Shubha. I cannot hear you, Lana, by the way, if you are talking.
I can read it for you, what Shubha just wrote.
Thank you.
So she's asking, how can you create a message that works across different generations, especially in terms of language and copy?
That's quite of a tricky one, to be honest with you. Because, of course, like when we talk about a target audience, the way that we see it from a marketing perspective or from an advertising perspective is like a bullseye, like the bullseye, the one with the arrows, all of that. The bullseye in the middle is basically the target audience. So for that, we need to be as specific as possible. And if we look at it, a lot of times it will be just one generation, one sort of range in terms of age, one type of person. However, it's a bullseye, right? So we might manage with the same message if the message is tailored on their emotional needs rather than on their demographical needs. And that's a big part of what I teach. it might be possible to still hit everything and everyone else in that bullseye, in that target that we have in front of us. So one way that you can do it, if you are targeting or if you want to target different generations, is really not to look at, okay, this is their language, this is how they speak, the young one, like the Gen Z with all their that's lit, I don't know what they say really, but with all of that, or the baby boomers with another different language. But you just actually look at what are the emotional needs of these people. And based on that, you create your copy and your message. So you really, and again, it's about really humanizing that business, because you don't think of just the practical problem, but you think about their emotional problem, their emotional response to the problem. I hope it makes sense. And I will reshare anyway the screen now so that Joanna can see it, but also I'm going to move forward with the presentation. And again, guys, if you just keep them coming, the questions, if you got any, and I will, I will, keep on checking them like this. That was lit. Thank you. That's what the kids say, right? So you see, guys, I'm very playful. That's just my style. Hopefully you don't mind it too much, These are the 5 types of content. I'm going to leave it here for you, just an extra moment. Again, what you want to do is just alternate all of this. You don't want to always give value, because of course, or else you're not going to make money. Just be realistic. But you also want to alternate. You want to give value. You want to have the promotional post. You also want to have thought leadership, vulnerability, something personal about what you guys do. And of course, never forget to share testimonials, case studies, anything else that will give you that social proof, the typical like unboxing, whatever, all of that can be repurposed into your content. So we move on. We move on to storytelling. Storytelling, as I said, is the key element for me, at least, that helps your business grow. I mean, I'm not the only one that thinks this, right? There are a lot of big brands. If you think of the beers, they all think of a diamond is forever. If you think of Nike, Tom's with their story, there are so many gigantic brands that throughout the years and the decades, they have found longevity and sustainability in their business because of having a solid story. So storytelling is something really, really key, especially if you are in that process of scaling up. I would say that it's something that if you got a business, you need to really get on it as soon as possible. I have some of the clients that I work with on this, and they are literally just starting out their brand. And it's great that they are taking time for stories, because it's really, really important to have a solid story that goes with your brand, your business, that is going to grow and stay with you. And there are, of course, different types of stories. I'll get to that in a moment. But first, why actually storytelling? So storytelling, stories have been with us as humans, you could say, since the beginning of time. Cavemen passing on the traditions, the rituals already, communicating about their day. That was already done with all the stories, the drawings on the cave walls, I guess, and all of that. That's something that has been with us really since the beginning. And then you fast forward to the Middle Ages, with the kings and queens and the bards and the storytellers. And that was used to pass on traditions, to educate. And even if you look at the modern times, the old classic bedtime story for your kids and all of that. So stories are something that they stay with us, and they've been with us for such a long time. We relate to stories. We connect through stories. We teach, we educate. All of that happens through stories. So if you have a business, and if you think about what we were saying, again, the know, like, and trust, and the making the connection with your audience, why not using such a powerful tool? It's something that should really, as I said, almost be with you since the beginning of your business. But especially if you're scaling, that's something that you do want to bring in. And also, stories have a power of emotion, you could say. They are emotive. They connect with somebody on an emotional level. They remind you something. They make you feel something. That's why, again, storytelling in business then becomes a very, very powerful tool, because people want to be moved in a way. And stories can do that for you. So if we look at, okay, now you can say, okay, yes, Rosie, storytelling, heard that before. Sure, I need to come up with a story behind my product or behind my brand. But actually what people underestimate is that there are different types of stories that can be used in your business. And again, specifically in my own experience, I have identified 3 types of stories. The first one is your why story. So this is the classic story of, for example, if we take Nike, the all just do it idea, the why story behind that was to create some products that would turn anybody or would get anybody into that athlete state of mind, into that belief of possibility, of dreaming of doing something and achieving it. So the why story is the one that explains why you started your brand. Why did you start your business? What do you want to achieve with your software, with your services, with your products? And that's the story that will explain again to your audience, okay, I can relate to that. I can believe in these people. I can connect with them. So that's why you need a why story. And of course, your why story should also be really connected to your values, to what you stand for, to your philosophy as a brand. So really ask yourself, okay, why did we start this? And I mean, you probably have heard this before, right? There is the whole thing of knowing your why, finding your why. People have made millions based on this whole why thing. But if that why is not communicated, what's the point really? Yeah, okay, that should motivate you. Your why should motivate you, but your why should also move and motivate your audience. So that's why you want to have that why story. The other thing you got is the client story. These are the case studies, right? This is, as we were saying before, something that not only will give that social proof, but it will also show to your clients that you understand them, because you have worked, you have served people that are in similar situations. So again, this goes very much without saying, but this is really about, if you think about, for example, coaches, strategies, business coaches, whatever, a lot of times you got the before and after, right? Before they started working with me, this is what was happening with them, and then they worked with me, and this is where they got now. That can also be a client story. And again, it's about how you tell it. It's again finding the right structure. I just literally, just last week actually, ran our workshop about the storytelling plots and structures that you can use to tell these stories. Because of course, it's not just about, okay, yeah, this is the story. It's how do you tell it to connect with others? But the fact that you got them is already a great step. You know, it's already like a great start. And then you got your money-making story. Now, the money-making story for me, it depends again if you're selling products or services, but this is basically that story that will generate clients for you. So in my own case, my why story is basically, why did I get into persuasion and copywriting and emotional psychology and all of that? So that's about self-expression, is one of my values. And it's because I've always been very outspoken, and I felt very frustrated when I left my 9-to-5 and I wanted to start this business, because I noticed that SMEs, scale-ups, startups, they don't have a big brand guide. They don't have a gigantic team, but they cannot express themselves in the way that they want to. So that really pushed me to say, you know what? I have this knowledge. I can consult for these people. I can coach them. There are not many people that do this. Let me do it. That's my why story. My money-making story instead is all about the problem of the client. For me, my money-making story is, hey, if you are frustrated in terms of creating content for your social media, and you got the blank page syndrome, and you don't know how to tell your story, or if if it's about my done for you services, the copywriting is a nightmare for your company, and you're not converting, you're not making money on the back of your content, It doesn't need to be that way because it can change. If you got the right strategy, if you got this, and that, you can imagine how the story goes on, blah, 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 blah. But that's basically really the story that is independent from the old why I started this. But it's about your problem as my audience, as my clients, as my customers. That's what it is. So before, again, I jump into this, which will be the last point of my workshop, very quickly, gonna go through a couple of questions again. If you guys have everything, thank you, Magdalene. I'm happy that you're enjoying this. Money making is the problem plus my value. Yes, Clarissa. So basically the money making story is really about the problem of the audience and how you solve it. And of course, it depends on what you've got. If you got services, most of the times it's going to be one story fits everything. If you got products, so really like physical products, again, I'm going to go back to the skincare. You almost want every line of products or every product to have its own money making, because technically that one product will solve one issue, if it makes sense. Can you put back that slide? Yes, I will. Again, just give me a moment. I just want to see if there are any other questions. Anything else, you guys? If not, I am going to put on the slide again. I don't see no questions, so I'm going to go back to it. Oh, actually, there is a question or something from Clarissa that says, I'm a coach, so it would be like my clients have X problem, and this is what working with me gives them. Yes, but you want to go almost like one step behind, because you don't want to make it about you. It's not about working with me gives them this. It's about my clients have X problem, and the solution to that could be this, this, and that. And you almost paint for them that dream scenario. So it's not just about, again, because we want to put them in the middle, it's not about, if this is your problem, work with me, this is what I do. Is if this is your problem, imagine how this solution could really change it for you. I hope it makes sense. I'm going to put on the slide again, which was this one. So again, 3 stories: your why story, your client story, your money-making story. Yeah, your why story is almost like that origin, right? Or why did you start this? What are you going to solve? The client story is about really more about them. This is also where you can use your, if you ever heard it before, like the story brand in a way, structure for it. Your money-making story is really about their problem and that dream scenario, the solution, the hope on the other side, the imagine moment that will make them feel, yes, I can achieve that. I can solve this problem. I can be happy. Hope it makes sense. And we go forward, really looking at the future. So value-driven sales and positive persuasion. I did write this one right here, no typos. So based on all of this, I mean, as I said, when Lana and Veronica approached me about this whole idea of humanizing business, I think that this is the future. Putting people in the center is what we want. Of course, we also need to make money, right? So it's about almost combining the two things. It's about finding a way where our audience, customers, clients, they will be in the middle, but still they will be giving us money, really. That's all I can say. They will still be making, giving us that sale, creating profit for all of our business, right? That's what it is. I mean, I can try and say it in a nice way, but that's literally what it is, because we still need to keep on growing our businesses, right? So how do we solve that? Now, I've made a little, oh gosh, I hope now the thing will work. Yeah, okay. The animation works in the right way. But if we look at the past, compared to where we're gonna go, the past of sales was really all about more the numbers. And there are a lot of people that still say, it's just numbers. You just break it down, it's not money, whatever, just easy, it's just numbers. The other thing that happened in the past was the triggers. Now, as a copywriter, I have been through this. I am very, very adamant about how the triggers need to change in your copy, in your content, because you don't want to trigger people anymore with fear, guilt, give them buyer's remorse, with greed. It's all very negative emotions. And people are tired of it, especially with everything going on this year. I think everybody's just really done with the negativity. But those triggers used to work like charm really beautifully a few years ago. About 3 to 5 years ago, as I said, there has been a sort of awakening. People started to think, okay, no, actually, I don't want you to sell to me like that. I'm really done with this. So from the negative, we need to go towards the positive, and I'll show you that in a moment. We also, in the past, there was no educational value. It was just all about, this is a great product, it can solve this problem for you, buy it. But nobody really said about, okay, but what can I really do with this? Why is this so important, right? That's what we want to change as well. In the past, there were minimal touch points as well. So you would go as a salesperson, yes, you would call somebody, but it would be pretty much left to that. You could call that person over and over, but it was more a direct thing. Whereas now, things have changed. So there was no connection. Now we do have that. So if we look at the future, I'm just going to put them all on there. If we look at the future, we want to focus our sales on people. We want the triggers to be joyful. That's why I was just explaining to, I think it was Clarissa, about the dream scenario, right? We don't just want to tell them, hey, this is the solution. And we don't want to tell them, buy now, because or else the world is going to end. It's not about that. It's not about saying, what's going to happen if everything fails and you're left with nothing, but if you buy this coaching package, damn it, you're going to make a lot of money. I was about swearing there, but you're going to make a lot of money. Is everything going to be all right? It's not really about that. It's about more depicting what can they do once they get this product, this service. It's about that positive picture. Connected to that and connected to what we were saying before in terms of content, luckily for us, in this time, we got enough value-driven content. So the only thing that you want to do really, as I said before, is really showing all the possibilities that there are around your services, your products, but also showing them why this is valuable, why this is something they want to invest in. This is why value-driven content is important, because it also shows them this is why you need it. But it doesn't say it that way, you know what I mean? We got then so much in terms of touch points right now, because on social media, we can go on the direct and indirect ones. And that helps us to build relationships, because it's not about the messages that I get on my phone. It's about, first of all, people just seeing me on social media. And that's almost like an indirect touch point. Every time that I post something, every time somebody sees a story, that somebody sees a post, it's almost like an indirect touch point. So clearly sales has changed drastically. Things are not like they used to be, right? So if we talk about, again, the value-driven content, the valuable content, right? We talked about this again in the 5 types. I have identified 3 main ingredients to it. So this is almost like a little bit, we go one step deeper into that content, right? The ingredients to it are these: the connection, the educational value, and the immediate value. So the connection is all about posting something, of course, that is relevant to your audience and brand. I mean, if I am, again, a skincare, cosmetic company, whatever, business, and all of a sudden I'm talking about, I don't know, I cannot think of anything, pens, like in front of me, pens, it's not going to really make a lot of sense, right? So it's really about identifying, as I was saying before, those categories, those topics that my audience is really interested in, and is related, of course, to my brand. So that's what makes, again, the value-driven and valuable content. Then there is the educational value behind this. So as I said before, now, if you are selling pens, it's about trying to tell to somebody all the things that this pen can solve for you, all the things that this pen can bring you closer to. So that's the educational value to it, right? It's the educational value of the product, of your brand, because this is Stabilo. So I could say, well, Stabilo has the most amazing, I don't know, fine points, and they have amazing colored pens. I don't know. But it's about identifying as well, okay, what does Stabilo brings as a brand in terms of value to me. So you want to educate them about why they should choose you. And then there is something that gives immediate value. So those are the typical list content thingies that you see: 5 tips to do this, 5 reasons to achieve that, 5 ways that you can use a pink pen to plan your week. I don't know. That's like a tip that I can, if you post it on a Monday, and let's say I'm planning my week. Oh, I've read just about it. Actually, this is what I can do. Oh, well, wait, I don't have a pink pen. I need to order one. Ka-ching, sales made. So the immediate value is about really writing something that will make the customer think, wow, I need that now. If I would have it, that's what I can do. It's going to immediately give me an extra boost in life. It's going to immediately save me time, save me money, or improve my status, which are the 3 reasons, really the 3 main reasons why people really buy from you. And that's what you want. Of course, all of that does not make sense, as I said before, unless you also connect it to the positive persuasion. Don't connect it to having the emotional triggers that are right. And to do that, there are 3 things that are really, really important. You need to have an understanding of your audience, and I will never really grow tired of saying this. You need to understand, as I was saying before, your audience from an emotional point of view, from their personality point of view, from their psychological point of view. And also you need to understand the language that they use, because that's when actually you make a connection with somebody. If you speak the same language, figuratively and practically, people will connect with you. You also, again, want to really focus on your emotional triggers, and you want to have a very clear message and voice. If in your business you have not done that work of saying, what is really my message? How do we speak as a brand? Then you're missing out on something. Because all these things go towards, again, that helping you to depict that positive scenario, to persuade them rather than pushing them into a sale, and to be positive about what you do and encourage them. I hope it makes sense. I will, again, just take, well, actually, maybe I won't. We'll take the little break. See if you guys have any other questions before I just sum it up and leave you with some food for thought. I am quite conscious of time, so we got about 10 minutes. But again, if you guys have questions, let me know. Let me know how this feels. I hope it's clear. I know it's a lot, but these are almost like the key ingredients to really connect with your audience, and as I said, it's not just about connecting with them, but it's really about how do we put them in a situation where they are in the center stage to what our business stands for, Great, Clarissa, so happy that you're enjoying this. Yes, I hope you guys are really enjoying it. So let's sum it up then. I don't see any questions coming through. But again, I can just sum it up. Thank you. Happy that you love the energy. It's just like my very typical Italian energy. Plus, guys, we are online, and usually you would have a little bit more of an interaction, but here, that's what we got to do with, right? Okay, so I'll sum it up for you, and I'll give you a couple of more practical tips about what it is that you can really do, right? So let's get this up. To sum it up, of course, as I was just saying, emotional connection with your audience is really, really key. It's important not only because it humanizes your business, but eventually, in the long run, it creates a business that has longevity, is sustainable, and it creates more profit. Because people will start to really trust you and like you, and they will connect with you, and they will understand really what you sell. And they will become those advocates, the loyal fans that you really need. And of course, as I said, to sum it up, what you really need to create that connection, it starts with the foundation. And for me, the foundation is likable content. So really try and ask to yourself, okay, what are the types of content that I can share? What can I do with it? Then think about the stories that sell. What is your story? What is your why? What is the story that goes with all of your services or with the products that you've got? And then really think about that value-driven, persuasive, consultative approach to sale. Don't just sell, but really think in terms of how can I get closer to my audience in a nice, kind way, right? So what now, right? Because as I said, this is a lot. How are you going to really integrate it? So as I said to you, start off with that idea of identify the content framework that will fit your audience. Don't think from your expert perspective. Don't just post things that you think are interesting because it's like, well, we stand for this in our business. Let me post about it. If it's not interesting for them, they will really not care. So don't think with your expert hat on, with your businessman hat on, but actually think with what do they want as my customers, as my clients. That's something really, really important that I work on with my own clients, you know. But really think about it and try and identify those key core topics that can make a difference. Then connect that to the stories. Identify, okay, how can I tell why we are so amazing? How can I tell why these products are the right ones for these people? And how can I connect with them? I always give the example of the old, a diamond is forever. You guys know this, right? Everybody knows that the old slogan, a diamond is forever. What a lot of people don't know is that that was not a thing until a copywriter like me a long, long time ago just decided that actually the best way to sell diamonds, because at that point, nobody really cared that much about diamonds, and they had these beautiful diamond rings, and they had to create a connection. And this copywriter thought, what if we give it an emotional value? What if we create a story that tells something on an emotional level? And she thought of this whole thing. A diamond takes such a long time to create. It's almost like a forever kind of process, right? To make a diamond. And the best thing we can connect it to is love. Love should be forever. And that's how a diamond is forever is born, right? As a slogan. But that's almost where you want to go with your stories. What is the emotional value of what you do? How can you communicate that through those 3 types of stories to your audience? And then, of course, there is, as I said, the value-driven approach. Always make sure to think that whatever it is that you're doing is about them. Put them in the middle and try and really push on those positive triggers. That's the part that you really want to go for. What goes wrong? Tons of things often goes wrong when I see people attempting this. Probably the worst mistake that you can do is anyway not to show up. If we go all the way back to what I said in the beginning, is the know, like, and trust. It's about showing up, being human. And then it's about creating that trust that will actually push them towards that sale. And probably the biggest mistake that you can do is to not show that you are a person behind the brand, that you have a team behind the company. Because that's where a lot of companies really go wrong. And that's where a lot of big companies in the past have lost a lot of their clients, or the customer base, because they did not adapt to this whole new way of showing more. You cannot just be a big name or something. So show up, tell those stories, connect, share, sell. That's usually what I say. That's the process. But it all starts with that connection. And that connection right now is done through social media. It's done, of course, you can still call people. That's all like a new level of building eventually, right? A relationship. But it all starts with really being on social media. Of course, I'll have to tell you this. If you guys need any help with this, feel free to connect with me. You can send me an email. I will actually also put this one here, because you do feel free to connect with me. I am mostly, for example, active on Facebook. That's my preferred platform, and Instagram. I don't use a lot LinkedIn for my own business to grow it. That's also because I found out that that's where my audience is. Again, you don't need to be everywhere as long as you are on something. But feel free to connect with me, please. Feel free to send me an email if you want to find out more about how I can help you, or if you got any follow-up questions to these, please just let me know. And again, I have a few more minutes, so I will be more than happy just to answer your questions or talk to you, or just see what's going on, what you guys thought of this. If you guys have, again, any curiosities about anything that I've shared today, just let me know. And no, it's here. There we go. How did you discover their emotion and personality? You just talk to them. As simple as that. I always say the best thing that you can do is just to talk to your audience. There is no magic thing around this. It's just about, if you got customers already, get them on a call with them. Get on a call with them, or get them on a call and just ask them a few questions. You know, if you got this problem, how did you feel about it? But how would it feel to solve it? And really explore what they say. And before you know it, you will realize that there are a lot of things in common through whatever people you've got. So best way, talk to them, make a survey, a poll, call them, however you can, just talk to them. That's always the best way to find out, about their emotions and personality. Could you possibly outline what the positive triggers are again? So the positive triggers are really about joy, the dream scenario, the happiness, anything that is going to really make you save time or money or elevate in a way your status, your well-being. Those are all positive triggers. So it's really about joy. So think, if you know that your audience has a problem, think in terms of, okay, what would be the dream scenario of the other side? What would they imagine as their perfect solution to this? And those will be the positive triggers, Sarah says, I hope that helps, Yvonne. Sarah says, thanks for all the great info. How often would you recommend posting on, for example, Instagram? This is the question that probably I hear the most, Sarah. You would not believe it. And as I always say, I am a little bit of a rebel girl on this, because from a marketing point of view, I could say every day, 3-4 times a day. That's what works. Now, do you have the resources to do it? Do you have the energy to do it? Do you have the time to do it? I don't know. So I will give you the common marketing advice, which is, yes, you should be posting on Instagram, for example, every day, in the stories multiple times a day. In your feed, the feed is changing. It's still good if you would post at least once a day, sometimes two. But again, it's more really about the stories and the videos right now, the reels and all of that. That's the neat marketeer answer. I'll give you the realistic answer to that. Create consistency for yourself. Identify what can you really afford to do. If for you consistency is, I managed to just post 3-4 times a week, girl, don't kill yourself. That's gonna be all right. Just do that. You're still gonna make money. I can assure you that. I've seen my clients do it over and over. I even do it myself. I used to post every day. Now, just because of running from one thing to the other, sometimes I don't manage, and it's still okay. I still make money. I still get clients. So really identify it for yourself. I got another question. Again, I hope it helps, Sarah. Do you have any ideas on how one can draw the line between seeming approachable and too friendly while you post from a business Instagram? To be fair, it depends on the kind of brand that you're trying to build, really. So, for example, right? And by the way, guys, do feel free to follow me on Instagram at Writing with Rosie. I'll drop it in here as well. But basically, it depends on your brand. So, for example, for me, Writing with Rosie is very much of a personal brand, of course. I also have my agency. That's a different thing. So that's a different voice that I would use. But for me, because my brand is me, I am going to be like this, like you guys see me. So I still talk and show my authority. I show that I know stuff. I share all my knowledge. I share the testimonials, the client's work. I share if I'm doing something like this. I still do it. But it's really about me as a person, because people are going to work with me and buy from me. So I keep it quite approachable. But it depends really on your brand. If your brand is, less about you, or you want it to be a little bit more less friendly, less like energy, that's completely up to you.
Thank you, Rosie. We could go on, and
Yes.
we know that it's time already to end our session. So thank you again for taking part for today. And
Absolutely, it was my pleasure.
we're looking forward to seeing you all in the next session. So thank you, Rosie.
Thank you so much, guys. Feel free to connect. Good luck with the rest of the day.